All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're here with another solo ride. I like having my friends on board, kind of rolling with me a little bit, but the solo thing bodes well too. Hey, I'm a versatile guy like that. So this episode, joining the Ed Block podcast here is our guy Luke Kuechly, the Baltimore, Carolina Panthers linebacker that was causing havoc in the league for so many years. Luke, man, thank you for joining us and thank you for spending that time with us and joining us here on this Ed Block podcast.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. Yeah, I know you were a New Orleans Saints guy, so you were enemy back in the day, but now we can all be buddies again.
Yeah, a couple of my buddies up there, Jake Delhomme. Me
Yes.
and Jake DeLone were teammates down in New Orleans, and I know he came and did great things with the Panthers and up there doing things still as well. And we talked a little bit off the air about my confrontations with Dan Morgan and that defense that I had to deal with back in the day, Sean Gilbert in those times. So, really, man, like I said, that defense has always been somewhat nasty, always had gritty defensive players, linebackers all over the field. So, what are you doing though over there, man? What's going on in the water over in Carolina with these guys, and then now you coming up and just basically taking over and taking that position to the next level?
Well, Wally, I think it started. Sam Mills was a guy back in the day for us. Obviously, Hall of Fame linebacker, was a big part of the early days of the Carolina Panthers. He introduced the keep pounding mantra, and he passed along. He coached your guy Dan Morgan. So Sam set the tone, and then Dan took over from him, and Dan passed it along to Thomas Davis and John Beeson, guys that I learned a lot from. But you look at the guys: Chris Jenkins, Mike Rucker, Julius Peppers, who just got in the Hall of Fame. We've always had Mike Minner, just tough physical guys on the defensive side of the ball. So regardless of when you came to the Panthers, there was always one of those guys there, and that was the expectation for everybody, is show up and assimilate with the guys. And this is how we play defense. And I think it started a long time ago and has continued its way till now.
Let's kind of backtrack a little bit and go strictly on Luke the Man, because reading your bio and reading what you accomplished way before you got to Carolina. I mean, goodness gracious, man. So you've been good at everything that you've accomplished on the field. That's what it has been. Okay, you've been the guy everywhere. But what I want to talk about is, because we tell kids all the time, and I'm a coach right now today, that guys, at some point, you're going to meet somebody better than you if you keep playing this game long enough. So talk about really maintaining that place and being a great high school player, okay, getting to college and being a great college player. But the thing about it is maintaining that greatness throughout your career. Always maintain that mantra of being the guy. How hard is it to perfect that?
I think the fortunate thing for me is I always had good guys around me that were great motivators and that were competitors and wanted to be really good. And I had a guy, Thomas Davis, who was in the linebacker room with me for a long time. And I think we really motivated each other to be the best players that we could be. And we both just wanted to help our team win football games. In order to do that, you got to put the work in the off season, during training camp, during OTAs. You got to study during the week to get prepared for the game. So I liked being good at football. I felt like it was my responsibility to the team, the guys in the team, the fans, the organization, to put myself in the best position possible to help my team win and to really just do my job. And I loved the game of football. I still love it now. So there wasn't a lot of motivation that I needed to try to do my job the best that I could.
And having the God gifted skill set and all those things to do those things as well, that helps too. The size and the skill
Yeah,
helps.
well, I was lucky. I had a lot of stuff go my way during my career, and I think, yeah, definitely very fortunate from that.
Now, coming out of Cincinnati and choosing a university, kids don't understand that process. And you were a guy who were highly recruited, okay, coming out. Why Boston College and not Ohio State or the other big programs that I'm sure are knocking at the door as well?
I didn't get recruited by Ohio State or a lot of the Notre Dame, none of the big schools around the Cincinnati area. But my one goal was to always go to a school that was strong academically. And if I wasn't going to play football, if I didn't play football, I wouldn't have been able to get into. So my goal from a young age getting recruited was I need to make sure that I set myself up for for my life and having a good opportunity to succeed when I got done playing football. And I felt like Boston College was a really good option for that. They were playing great football. It was a Jesuit school, just like my high school. We had a lot of kids from my high school go play football up there and have a ton of success. Alex Albright, Nick Larkin were guys that were there when I got recruited. And so it's kind of a natural fit for me of great academic school, really good area. They were playing really good football. Matt Ryan was there, and I had a couple buddies that went to the same high school as I did that were up at BC and had a ton of success. So it was a pretty easy decision for me.
Oh, got a little pipeline going there from
Yeah, it's been good.
oh, okay, okay. See, that's what Boston College does. They develop those pipelines down there. And we always see them come down this way. I live in Tallahassee and pound Florida State.
Oh, they took it. That Bill O'Brien and those guys up in Chestnut Hill playing good football right now.
They're playing tough football, which look, Boston College has always played tough football now. That's the mantra of that program. And like I said, you come out of that program and it has definitely followed that mantra all the way through. So, get into the league and making that transition. One can look at your stats and look at your accolades and say, well, it couldn't have been that hard. But talk about that transition. A lot of kids, we talk about the speed of the game is different. It takes a while to get acclimated to those things. You come in as a top 10 draft pick with the Panthers and run straight Pro Bowls, man. Talk about that transition and just how that worked out.
It was a challenge. You come in and you realize that everybody's fast, everybody's big, everybody's strong. But what I really realized was everybody knows what they're doing, and people know where to go. You offensive linemen understand how to take angles to the football. You understand where backers are going to be post snap. So that was a big learning curve for me to understand. Like, I got to get there before they get there, and I have to understand that their angles are going to be way better. They're going to be right every time. You're not just going to be able to run past people. And the physicality of the game was a jump as well. I had to get used to that. So OTAs, training camp, first couple weeks of the season, I struggled with a lot of things, and the speed of the game was certainly one of them. But fortunately for me, coaches stuck with me. They continued to help me along the way, and slowly over my rookie year, I kind of got caught up to speed. And then from there, it just was very fortunate to end up in the same defense pretty much my whole career in Carolina. We played the same style, the same fronts. All the terminology was pretty much the same my whole 8 years, and I think that was a huge contributing factor for me.
Now, yeah, repetitive motions. You say the same defense, really the same kind of responsibilities. How much does that play into allowing not just you, but let's just say any young player coming in, familiarity of their space coming into the league and working in a place where you can expand?
I just think if you get comfortable in a system, then it starts to build on itself. And you see something year two that you saw year one, but in year one it was the first time, but in year two you've seen it before and you've already made the adjustment. Versus if you come in and you go one defense and then next year you go from 4-3 to 3-4, and then you have to relearn stuff every year. And I think inherently it just slows you down as a defender and as a football player. So having that continuity for me was really beneficial. And we had 3 different defensive coordinators and we kept the same system. So it was just great.
Now, as a defensive guy, and this game changes all the time. It's a different game now than it was when I played, and I'm sure it's a little different game now than it was when you played. So, as a defensive guy, what I guess offensive schemes have changed really dramatically to the point to where, this is just something just totally outside of the realm of what I've experienced. Like, I've never been on a team, or I never played with a team that had, 6'5" receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They just didn't exist. Or I never played on a team where we ran read offense, okay, and spread offense. So for me, that's a little bit different terminology, even looking at it and trying to figure it out. So as a defensive guy who monitor these things, what do you see are the differences in when you retired and where you are right now?
There's a lot more speed that gets on the field. I think you look at what the tight end position has done. it's guys that can block, but more it's guys that can get open and run routes, and it puts stresses on defense. And I think the advent of all this wide zone and heavy play action puts a lot of stress on the defensive side of the ball with the ability to run the ball and be creative and then have really good pass schemes off the run game. It's caused it's caused defenses to kind of adapt, and I think that's just kind of how the NFL goes. Is as defenses adapt, offenses adapt, and then change, and then defense has to catch back up, and it's just a cycle that continues year after year after year. But I think the ability to get speed on the field and utilize speed and put speed on guys like linebackers that you put Tyreek Hill in the slot at number 3 on a backer, you've got an instant advantage, and then the defense has to adjust, and then you get looser somewhere else, and these offenses understand that, can attack those holes. So I think speed in this wide zone stretch Shanahan run game is causing a lot of problems.
Oh wow, would it be a little bit difficult to figure out, man? So, if you're out there making
Yeah,
those calls, man.
yeah, it puts a lot of stress on defenses, and I think that's why it's been successful, and that's why teams are sticking to it. Is it's not line up 21 personnel downhill power football. It's shifts, it's motions, it's wide zone, it's getting guys on edges, it's giving running backs multiple holes to attack rather than front side main A gap counter or power. It's a different game, and it's fun to see.
So, I mean, and you're right, because look, I still the offenses are so wide open, man. Okay, they're throwing the ball downfield and playing the vertical game so much, even from an offensive lineman's perspective. I'm like, wow, I could have got away with not blocking the guy and still had positive yards and goals and
Yeah.
things like that. I may have played another 5 or 6 years the way we did things back then. So I mean, and for a player like you, of course, to have that success, and the reason why we do this podcast, we like to reach out to guys who won the award and exhibited some type of perseverance to get back into the league and play at a high level. And we've all had our share. I won this award back in '97 when I tore my Achilles and came back and played. And of course, the ceremony continues to go. So you won the award back in 2016.
Mhm.
2016. But like we kind of talked off the air a little bit. You're one of the younger guys who had to deal with concussions and protocol and all those things like that, and had to make a decision. So if you would, could you go into that decision? A player at your magnitude, Pro Bowl guy who had to ultimately walk away from the game because quality of life, seemed like it would be a better decision to have, and you didn't want any of the more detrimental things happen to you physically. So talk about that mental progression and making that decision and where you are now.
Yeah, I think, it comes to a point in everybody's career where they're like, hey, the best situation for me is to move away. And I obviously love the game of football and everything that goes along with it, from the off season to in season, the locker rooms to traveling with the team, to eating dinners with the guys. And it's hard to walk away from it, but I think everybody understands. And certainly I knew that this was the correct decision for me. And once you know you can't play the game to the level and to the speed and to the intensity that you should to help your team win games, that's when it's time. So I got to that point, and I knew, hey, I'm not the player that I need to be. It's not fair to the fans, the team, the guys on the field that are relying on me. So once that moment happened, it was a difficult decision, but ultimately an easy decision, because I knew, hey, this is the right decision now. I'm gonna go forward and do it.
So what can you go into any kind of detail as to what physically you were going through that there was a warning sign where I need to reevaluate, my entire career and how I move about my life?
Yeah, I think it was just, you just know in your heart. I'd gotten banged up the previous couple years, and it was a situation where, I didn't want that to keep happening. And honestly, it was pretty straightforward. I had some other stuff that was bugging me too. So it was kind of a combination of everything. But
Mm-hmm.
I think I think when it's time to be done. And for me, it was that time. And I wasn't able to play the game at the same speed that I knew I needed to. And once that happened, I was like, you know what? I got to go in a different direction.
Yeah, we all have to face that that fate. That's the other part of the game. There's always retirement. And whether we're forced into it or you just decide it's, your time has passed, we all come to that conclusion of us playing this game as kids and moving into adulthood and having to transition. So, and making that transition. So you're going to have your debut college game, okay, this week.
Yeah.
UMass and what's this?
Northern
NIU.
Illinois.
Yeah, and NIU was the ones that smacked around Notre Dame a little bit, right?
Yeah, they beat the Notre Dame Fighting Irish this year earlier. So I'm excited about it. Like I said, I love the game of football. I like talking about it. I like studying about it. It's been fun to learn and dive back into the college game because it's a little bit different than the pro game. There's more space on the field because of the hashes, and you get to learn more of the storyline behind the guys and the transfer portal and what plays in the NFL, or I'm sorry, in the college game. And it's been fun. I've enjoyed it. These two teams are cool. You start to look into them. It's Don Brown was a defensive coordinator at Boston College when a bunch of my buddies were there. Steven Daniels went to my high school. He's up at UMass now. He went to Boston College and with Don Brown, and Steven's bopped around the coaching circuit. Don brought him up there to UMass. So it'll be fun to get up there and see some of those guys. But I love talking football. I love being around the game, and it's going to be a tremendous opportunity for me to do that.
Awesome, man. There's no better job, I tell you, in transitioning. I've been doing media for about 25 years, in Baltimore area and doing all kinds of things. And it's a great job to sit and talk about the game that you love and that you watch. It's not like it's work. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's so fun. I love it.
So, and I also want to, since we have our Baltimore people on here and our viewers, our Ed Block viewers, because we always want to get our guys back. You wonder what want to get you back to Baltimore. If you can elaborate more on your experience in Baltimore and the Ed Block event, because we love to have you back at any time, man, to come back and hang out with us again.
Yeah, the thing that makes football cool is the guys that you meet along the way. And it's guys that you grow up watching. It's guys that, you play against on Sundays. It's guys that you watch tape of and say, man, like that guy's just such a good player. And then you get up to Baltimore, and I think Baltimore, first of all, is a great city. It's cool. There's a lot of history up there. It's right there on the water, which I think is sweet. But going up there, you just meet guys and around them, and you can talk to guys. And the thing, guys get banged up. It's part of the NFL, and you can talk to guys about rehab. How was it for you? What was the process like? So it's a great opportunity to get up there and be around a bunch of guys that you watch on TV, you watch on tape, you play against, but then also kind of talk about, hey, what's your process been like on your rehab? So it provides so much for guys, and it's cool to have been a part of it.
Cool, man. Well, hey, you have an open door policy with us. And again, I appreciate you coming on, man, and sharing your afternoon with us and elaborating on the injury, okay, your career. And definitely, again, watch Luke Saturday, all right? UNI versus UMass, CBS Sports. He'll be ready to go. The man is a football savant. He loves the game. Luke, appreciate your time, man. Come back and join us anytime you want.
Thank you very much. You guys have a great day.
All right, my man. Appreciate you.
See ya.